Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be installing my universal soft fender flares that I got. I'm going to install them on a Jeep VJ, but this procedure is similar on most vehicles. And I'm planning to install it on this edge. And before I could do that, I need to bend it straight, because as it is now, it bends upwards a little bit. So by bending it straight, that makes it easier for the included screw to attach. I'm going to start by pre-drilling a small hole here. That makes it easier to attach the screw in the metal. Now I'm going to try to make a rough fit of my fender, so I know where it will end. Now when I have a hole, I'm going to attach the fender, and I want the lip of the fender to cover the sheet metal here. So I need to figure out where exactly I should drill the hole. It seems like it's pretty far out, and I will try like this and see how that works out. Yes, that's exactly how I want it. I noticed that there is a trim piece here on my VJ that has some screws, and I'm going to unscrew them because I'm going to see if I could reuse these holes when I'm attaching the fender flare. I'm going to put the next screw in the bend here, and what I did is that I push it inwards and upwards, and I'm going to drill my hole here. And now I could continue with the screw. Two of them are on, and I think this is the way to go. You just continue all the way through like this. And it's gonna help you if you have two tools, one for the screw, one for the drill bit. Let's see, I think the next place to catch them is here in the very end. So I'm drilling a hole. That keeps the mark. Switch to the screw. Get the screw through, find the hole, and attach the screw. My next challenge is the plastic pieces here, and I'm going to try attaching a screw here as well, just to see if it works. That worked out better than I expected. I think if I put a screw on the other side here, this will kind of hold up it, and it will look pretty good in the transmission between the sheet metal and the plast. I'm going to try something. I'm going to see if I could combine this fender, inner fender, with the fender flare by putting a screw through both. That worked out pretty good actually. I'm gonna try to put another one in the lower part. It's time to secure it in the middle up here. So I'm gonna put a screw, a drill bit, and do the hole first. Let's put the screw there. And that's it. It feels pretty solid actually. I already removed the two screws on this trim piece, and I figured out it's quite easy to remove it. I decided that I'm gonna cut along with this line and basically remove this whole part, because the fender is gonna push this on and it's gonna be more snug against this trim piece if I make this cut. So I'm gonna do this cut off the camera. I did a cut, and from this angle it's not visible, but from this angle you could clearly see that all this edge is removed. To do the cut, I used a small grinding wheel that I connect to the air compressor, but since this is just plastic, I think I could do the cut in many ways, and the choice is all yours. So let's put the trim piece back. I think before I continue with this, I'm gonna attach it all the way down here so it's really snug. I've been trying out some different options with this trim piece, and I decided that I will go over it like this and keep it snug all the way down like this. So my next step is going to be to put a screw here on the inside, and when you're doing this, make sure that it's really tight. So this process is a lot of repeating, so put it snug on, do your hole, and drill in the metal, attach a new screw, and this is basically how it goes on. So let it take the time, and the result will be good. The fender flare is on. I'm pretty satisfied with the result. It's quite snug against it, but the issue is where the metal turns over to the plastic. That leaves a gap on both sides, and that's nothing that I really like. I think I might fill up with some silicone here to fill in the gap. But for now, this is gonna make me pass my inspection, and that's the main purpose with putting on these fenders. And all you have to do now is to repeat what you just did on the back and on the other side, and I will show you the final result later on when I got the other three on. It's time to have a look on the final result on the fender flares that I installed, and I thought it would be nice to come outside and have a look on it in the daylight
and to see the whole car and how it looks. I must admit, during the installation, I had some doubts. I couldn't help to get the impression that it felt cheap, that it wouldn't be nice enough. But now when I see the end result, I'm changed my mind. It's not as cool as a bushwhacker, for example, but compared to the bushwhacker, this one ain't gonna be destroyed if you hit a tree or something like this. And I'm pretty satisfied with the end result after all. Let's have a look on some of the details of my installation and the challenges I had. One of the challenges that I got was because I cut my bumper in order to be able to clear with the wheels. And I need to do a solution here with a zip tie, where I drilled a hole in the fender flare and one in the bumper, and then I put on the zip tie there. Maybe not the nicest, but it works for me. I also put a small bend here because there is a steel wire inside of the fender flare, which means you could adjust it. And the reason why I put the bend here is so that I clear with my wheels. And I made some cut on the fender flare to follow the line. I didn't cut too much on them because I didn't want to risk the inspection guys to have any opinions, so I thought I just cut a little bit, and then after my inspection, which I passed, I could cut more, and I have some ideas to go with a cut more like this, so you get a more rounder shape that slims down a little bit. But it was really easy to cut as well. In the back side of the front, I did it similar as I did in the front. I made more or less straight cut here, and I put a small bend on it so that I will get clearance when I'm turning. And it worked out good. It doesn't rub too much. I still had some issues with rubbing before I installed it, and I still have that issue, of course, but at least it didn't get worse, and it worked out good, especially since it's possible to bend this. That helps a lot. When it comes to this trim piece, I'm pretty glad that I decided to make the cut here, because this makes the lip from the fender flare to really go over the trim piece, and I kind of like how that look. But one thing that I wished I'd done differently was with this plastic trim piece down here. I wished I cut the fender flare here. What I did now was that I went down with it all the way down here, and I cut this. And that was a bad decision, because that takes away some of the protection this one gives on the rocker panel. Though I'm probably gonna change out my rocker panel and rebuild this into a rock slider, so in that case it doesn't matter so much. But if I would done it differently, I would probably made a cut here and don't cut this. I had some worries about the gaps coming up in between the metal and the plastic, and what I decided to do was to fill up this with some black silicone. It's still not perfect, but it's at least better than before. I think though that it would be possible to make a cut in the rubber of the fender flare in order to get this part to be more snug against the sheet metal. What about the back? In the back, the principle was basically the same as the front. You drill a hole, you put a screw in there, and you keep it tight, and you attach it. And there's sheet metal going all the way down. This is the front of the back, where I cut the lip in the fender flare in order to get some clearance for the rocker panel in the front, so that was really easy. In the back though, it was slightly different, because there's also plastic where the bumper comes, but there is a structure that holds up the bumper in the back, which I managed to drill through. In the very end, I had to use 2 zip ties in order to get it on. That's mainly because I did some cutting, or the previous owner took some parts away, and I cut parts of my bumper to get more clearance. The part where the sheet metal goes over to the plastic bumper was a little bit tricky. What I did here was that I folded the lip down so the lip goes under the bumper. I think though that a better option would be to cut this lip away. So make a cut here and cut all the way down there. And that cut would be possible to do with a razor blade. That would have taken away this gap and it would be tighter against the bumper. I think this is okay, but it would be slightly better looking if I would have cut it away. My overall impression of this soft universal fender flare are on the positive side. They are not as bad as I thought they would be from the beginning. When I purchased them, I saw them as a temporary solution for me to pass my inspection. And when I got them on, I had some doubts, but now when they are on, they are okay. They are maybe not the coolest one you could put on your Jeep compared to Bushwhacker, which for me has a higher cool factor. But the good thing is that you don't have to drill in your fender and they still keep the car pretty stock. So I'm positive to them. They made the work and they don't look too bad. Or what do you think about it? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like this, click I think over here to see a playlist where I do more videos about the Jeep and how to do stuff on the Jeep. And if you like my channel, I would appreciate your subscription. So click here to subscribe on my channel. And thanks for watching, and I see you soon.